A piano long silent mysteriously plays again, its weird and ominous chords filling a bedeviled house with stark terror. A concerto of death, macabre music of a dead man, played by a hand that returned from the grave to wreak vengeance on his betrayers, marking each for murder as it strikes with inhuman power. A horrifying monster that takes its evil commands from beyond, that cannot return to the tomb till it completes its mission of destruction.
Hillary, listen. Can you hear it? The piano. It's the hand playing. It's the hand. You were right all the time. It was Ingram's hand that committed murder.
I found fingerprints of identical pattern in the library, in the hall. Even on the window pane in your room, Signorina.
You mean the same hand?
I heard what they said in the garden. I couldn't help but hear.
It's a lie. You're lying.
I'm not a liar. But you are a coward. You don't want to hear the truth.
Let's get away from here, Bruce. We're not under arrest. What can they do if we just disappear?
The following is a paid advertisement. Really? A paid advertisement? Wait, the B-Movie Cast got paid? Yes, the following is a paid advertisement. This episode of the B-Movie Cast is brought to you by the estate planning services of Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law. Remember, when the zombie apocalypse comes, things will move pretty fast.
The body should be disposed of at once, preferably by cremation.
Well, how long after death, then, does the body become reactivated?
It's only a matter of minutes.
Minutes? Well, that doesn't give people time to make any arrangements.
No, you're right. It doesn't give them time to make funeral arrangements. The bodies must be carried to the street and burned. They must be burned immediately. Soak them with gasoline and burn them. The bereaved will have to forego the dubious comforts that a funeral service will give. They're just dead flesh and dangerous.
So don't leave your estate planning needs until the last minute, because you don't know when that last minute could come. Call Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, at 859-351-2294. That's 859-351-2294. Remember, when you go, you don't want people saying,
"Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up."
Twyla Minear Brooks, attorney at law, is licensed for practice in the state of Kentucky. Consult your local attorney for matters outside of the state of Kentucky.
Command mark. The time will be running at X-20 seconds. Mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire.
Spawned by the continuing decline and fall of society as we know it, and created on the second-floor spare-bedroom studio in the Piedmont of South Carolina. Podcasting on a shoestring budget and changing the world one freak at a time. It's the B-Movie Cast with your host, Vince Rotolo.
From coast to coast and worldwide via the internet, this is the B-Movie Cast, the podcast of unusual film and television.
So, on with the show. Hi, guys, and welcome back to the B-Movie Clubhouse for episode 485 of the B-Movie Cast. Before I go any farther, I want to get our contact information out of the way. We love hearing from all of you, so we have a feedback segment devoted to your comments and suggestions, and this is how you can contact us. Option 1, pick up your phone and dial 888-936-0808. This is a toll-free number and a very easy way to leave a voice message. Option 2, you can make your own MP3 file and send it into bmoviecast@gmail.com. Or use your smartphone voice software and record a call, then just send that in as an attachment instead. Or option 3, if you're not into talking, you can just shoot us an email to bmoviecast@gmail.com. Our website is bmoviecast.com, where you can subscribe to the podcast. It's free, and there you can join us on the Facebook bmoviecast fan page and letterbox. Also, you can play the contest by sending in your answer by email to bmoviecast@gmail.com with contest in the subject line. And check out the links while you're there, or buy a T-shirt. I currently have smalls to 4Xs. If you want to help us financially, there's a donation box you can click on as a supporter on the Lugosi, Karloff, Agar, and the infamous Xanadu level through PayPal. Also, the easiest way to donate is to click on the Amazon bar on the right side of our homepage. This Amazon link will take you to Amazon.com to make your purchase. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can still log into your personal accounts when you get there. It's completely private, so think about us before you buy online. So now, through the miracle of modern technology and thousands of miles of wires, server farms, PCs, Macs, the Internet, and duct tape, we have our co-host from Lexington, Kentucky, author, editor, screenwriter, film producer, Nick Brown. He has a new website. It is authornickbrown.com. That's AUTHORNICBROWN.com. He is the author of the Werewolf for Hire book series, starting with Blood Curse. He's also selling a book in collaboration with his wife, Fiona, the B-Movie Cookbook. All of these are available on Amazon. He's produced 2 movies, Wretch and Loss Prevention. Both can be ordered on Blu-rays or DVDs through Amazon. He is also the producer of a 3rd film, the soon-to-be-released Fall of Usher. First up, I want to let everybody know that the 2022 June Monster Bash in Pittsburgh is at a new hotel. It's at the Marriott Cranberry Township, also known as the Pittsburgh Marriott North. It's on 100 Cranberry Woods Drive in Cranberry Township, PA. Not the Doubletree, so don't go to the Doubletree. Juan, Nick, and I all have tables, and we can't wait to see everybody again. I can't wait. It's been too long. I miss everybody. And second, everybody, anybody, somebody listening out there, please send in a voicemail using the toll-free number, the 888-936-0808, because a couple people are having trouble getting cut off in the middle of their feedback. And I've been fighting with them now for about a week, and they said they got it right now. So I need a couple people to send in some voicemails on the 888-936-0808 toll-free number. So I can either finally ignore Freedom Voice or start calling them and leaving nasty messages. Anyway, I hate technology. So, today's movie pick is
Yet here you are doing a podcast.
I know.
Mary.
This is like really stupid. Okay, today's movie is...
What's today's movie, Mary?
The Beast with Five Fingers from 1946. It's considered... Oh, yeah.
I thought we were doing a documentary about Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh, you couldn't wait to get that in, could you? You were just...
What? I watched this Five Finger Death Punch documentary. That's all I'm going to talk about tonight.
Well, I'm going to talk about the movie.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
It's a mystery horror film starring one of my favorites, Peter Lorre. I love that man. He is so great in this. He steals the show. He carries the show. And I can't even believe he got third billing in this. It was directed by Robert Florey, who we talked about in the Face Behind the Mask podcast. That was number 482. And that also had Peter Lorre. So, yay! The movie hit the theaters on Christmas Day in 1946. So I guess we could have used this as a Christmas movie, but, you know.
Wait. That was a Christmas release?
Yes. 1946.
God, Christmas in 1946 was depressing. Oh, my God.
Oh, well, we always have horror movies around Christmas.
We may do horror movies, but that doesn't mean Hollywood should be releasing them around Christmas. I mean, what the... seriously, wow.
I know, because seriously, I've been reading reviews from people that actually watched this thing the first time around, and they were truly scared.
Well, it was actually a pretty freaky little movie.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. Carry on, Mary. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
Fun fact, Alan Jones of RadioTimes.com says, give a big hand to Robert Florey for his adept direction and to the key special effect itself, which Louis Buñuel had a hand in. I couldn't believe that. Andalusian Dog.
Yeah, he
Okay.
did.
Okay, wait a minute, Mary.
What?
First thing you said was give a big hand to. And then the next thing you said is he had a hand in.
Yeah, I know.
So are these all puns based on the movie?
Yes.
Ah, see. Yeah, I see those written down puns you're rolling in here. All right, carry on. I've got to hand it to you, Mary. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. It hurts to do puns, but, you gotta work with what you have.
Well, let me know if you need a hand.
Oh, boom. Okay. Well, anyway, he worked on the prep stages of the film. He doesn't get any kind of write up in it or anything. He doesn't even get an uncredited in it anywhere that I've seen. But I really don't want to say much more about the movie because I don't want to spoil the ending. It's just great. But I really loved it. It had beautiful photography and set design, and I really felt like I was in a village in Italy back in the day, getting off a tour bus and, getting flim-flammed by a local Italian trying to sell me cameos, was it? Yeah.
He was American.
Well, yeah, but he spoke such good Italian you couldn't tell. They didn't know. They thought he was... Maybe they did. I can't remember now. Anyway.
Well, they did compliment him on his English.
That's true.
And he said, well, it should be good. I'm American.
Oh, did he say that? Okay.
He didn't say it exactly like that, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Essentially, they were all like, wow, your English is really good. That's because I'm an American.
Anyway, I love that village. I just thought it was perfect, and everybody watch the movie. It's been unavailable since the days of VHS tapes, but it's remembered by everybody that ever saw it. So now it's out on Warner Brothers Archive Collection Edition DVD that Juan sent to Nick and I. Thank you, Juan.
You're very welcome.
And it's a really good print. So everybody watch the movie. I'm done.
Well, I guess that's the end of the podcast. Good job, Mary.
Oh.
That was a quick one.
Yeah, that was. Well, it's because it's cold and I'm talking fast.
Oh, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey. Well, what are we doing now, Mary?
Contest. Not the
contest.
Yeah, the contest.
Oh, that's exciting.
And the answer was Fiend Without a Face from 1958. Okay, our first movie today is donated by Patrick Kelly. Woohoo! It's a Blu-ray DVD combo, Star Trek Into the Darkness.
Ooh.
I know. According to Patrick, this 2013 film is the follow-up to the reboot of Star Trek. It was the last time Leonard Nimoy played Spock. Oh. As well as his last film before his death in 2015. Oh. Some trivia. Nimoy loved coffee ice cream, and his contract stipulated that this treat had to be available on the set at all times.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That is probably, as far as weird demands from celebrities go, that was a pretty easygoing demand.
That was, yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't there
just
somebody
keep some
that
coffee ice cream.
used to want M&Ms, but only a certain color?
Okay, that was always the joke that, there's rock and roll. I don't remember who it was, but one of the famous rock stars had this thing, and it may have been, for all I know, it was Elvis, but I don't think so. But their thing was they only wanted green M&Ms or they only wanted blue M&Ms, and this was back in the day when you couldn't get just a bag of green or blue or whatever color M&Ms. Yeah. I think you can order those now. Yeah. So people would have to buy, literally, because he'd be like, I want a brandy sifter full of green M&Ms only. And so they would have to open up a ton of bags of M&Ms and pull out all the green ones and put them into a brandy sifter to take to this guy so he would actually perform. Now, that may be an urban legend. I don't care enough to check.
I don't either.
You know, that's there are many things in life that I will take the time to research. The whole green, blue M&M thing, I'm just not that bothered.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm going to pick a winner.
Winner, chicken dinner. Who we got?
The winner is Anthony Munn. Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations,
Anthony Munn.
Yes, he hasn't.
You get to star Trek Into Darkness.
Mm-hmm. And our second DVD prize has been donated by Marlo Brown, one of our listeners.
Ooh.
I know. Thank you, Marlo. It's Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow.
Oh, I love that movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a goofy movie.
Yeah, really? I can't remember it.
Okay, it was one of the first I think it was the first time that they filmed the entire movie in front of like a green screen.
Oh. Okay.
So it's very you'd like it, Mary. It's very Art Deco. I mean, it's just this explosion of Art Deco and on the screen, and it's got dirigibles. I like dirigibles.
Yeah, I remember that.
I like blimps.
No,
I like rigid airships. Let's be very specific.
Okay.
I think we've had this conversation
I think
before.
we have.
Don't get me started about rigid airships.
No, I won't. I'm not again. Okay. Marlo says, this 2004 retro film is done like a sci-fi flick from the 30s or the 40s. It stars Jude Law, Angelina Jolie, and Gwyneth Paltrow. I am going to have to watch it.
But we try not to hold Gwyneth Paltrow against it.
Oh, okay. And the winner is, let's see, who is it? Santito!
Oh, wow, Santito.
Wait. I think he won a copy of Monsters Wanted, and I don't think I've sent it to him. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, okay.
We'll find out.
Our third prize is the mystery gift from Santito. It's guaranteed to be worth more than the 2 minutes it took you to enter the contest. It's worth a lot more. Those packages are really cool. People have been sending in pictures of them. They're neat. Guaranteed to be a DVD or Blu-ray, book and or magazine, and some knick-knack and something from south of the border, preferably legal something. So again, anybody, if you win it, tell us what it is and send a picture to me so I can post it. And the winner is Stephen Turek.
Oh, cool. Steve Turek. All right.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, he's our buddy from the Bash.
Yeah. Okay, and our fourth prize is something from our own Nick Brown, but he wouldn't tell me what it was.
That's because I don't know what it is. I'm looking around the room. You understand, we're buying a new house here in the next week or two, and we're going to be moving, and part of the process of moving is getting rid of a lot of stuff. And even as we speak, I'm looking over at a shelf. And there's a lot of stuff on this shelf. And there's a lot of random stuff on this shelf. There's a lot of movies. There's a lot of books. There's my books. There's my movies. There's movies that I've watched, movies that I hate. There's CDs that I don't have a CD player for anymore. There's just all sorts. So, yeah, I'm going to find something, and I'm going to send something out. Yeah, sure, why not? So what am I getting? Let's see who the winner is.
You're going to send it out to Don Falcos.
All right, because I know he's in the U.S.
Yes, he is.
So the gift was going to become markedly smaller if I was shipping it overseas. But since it's going to somebody in the U.S., I'll, yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm thinking I know what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I know what I'm going to give away.
Okay.
I'm not telling anybody, though. It's a surprise.
Okay.
You sound so tired, Mary.
Oh, so I guess that's it. That's it for the contest?
No, that's not it.
No?
We're going to do
that's not it.
Surprise.
Ooh. Okay.
We are going to do a fifth one on behalf of Fifth Dimension Films.
Sweet.
FifthDimensionFilm.net, right?
.net, yes. Not .com, .net.
.net. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So roll them.
Oh. And the winner is Dax Bradley.
Dax Bradley. Where's Dax from?
He lives in Cuba.
Jersey?
Oh.
No, New Jersey.
Oh, I thought he lived in Cuba.
Yeah, I hear our listenership in Cuba is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So, Dax, you are the proud winner of a copy of The Phantom. And this is not the serial The Phantom, but this is the 1996 version with Billy Zane.
Ooh.
Yeah, Billy Zane in it. Where? Yeah, Billy Zane kicks butt.
Oh, by the way,
I'm a big
Dax
Billy
is in
Zane
New Jersey.
fan.
Okay, cool. So Dax,
No, he's in North Carolina.
Wait a minute, Mary. Is he in Jersey or North Carolina or South? Where's he at?
He's in North Carolina.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Oh, I need a drink.
So he wins the copy of The Phantom.
Yes.
And that is the remake or the modern-day version of the original Phantom by Lee Falk from the serials. And it's a great adventure thrill movie. You know, it's got a couple good stars in there. Treat Williams, which is pretty cool in there, you know, and a couple other good stars. It's a good adventure movie, and Billy Zane's in it.
I don't...
And Billy Zane kicks what? He kicks butt.
Big time butt.
I don't...
Let me tell you.
Know who he
is. You don't remember that movie?
No. Oh, that's
boy.
Billy Zane. Okay. He did the Titanic?
Well, he was in the movie Titanic.
Yeah.
Yes, he didn't do the Titanic.
He was in it.
No, he's a little young for that. Okay.
So yeah, it's a pretty good movie. It's an adventure film, and it's like I said, it's a remake or a modern day version of The Phantom by Lee Falk. So you know, it's pretty good.
Cool.
So that is the prize, Dax. You hope that you enjoy it.
Yeah, I think he will. If he hasn't seen it, it's not the best movie, but it was one of the many superhero movies that came out in the 90s trying to capitalize on the success of the Batman movies.
Yeah.
Because the Batman films kind of rekindled the idea of doing superhero movies, and then The Mask came along, and that really got people going, and so they were like, hey, let's do this obscure character because we have the rights to them. And so, but it did not do very well at the box office. But it was still
I think when it went to DVD, it did better on DVD, when it went to DVD, I think.
I think you're right, Juan. I think it got picked up by people as kind of a cult film. Because it's just a silly little adventure movie at the end of the day, but it's fun.
Okay.
Now, I tell you another one.
It says Phantom is a descendant of a line of African superheroes. He travels to New York to thwart a wealthy criminal genius.
But, I'd forgotten the bit that he was
It's played by Billy Zane.
Yeah, that's what I found a little problematic. I remember that now. He's an African superhero played by a white dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll call that, but that's okay.
Okay, cool.
So basically, it's based, the Phantom. He had his dog, and then it was based on the legend of finding the skulls, the rare skulls of what they call it, Tuganga or Tuganda.
Oh.
So those skulls had like real incredible power and energy, and whoever had the skulls can cast spells and create disasters, all kinds of stuff, So I guess how do you call it? The Phantom's mission was to protect and save those skulls from anybody trying to steal them or harbor them to get the power and stuff. It's a good little sci-fi adventure film, superhero like Nick Set's type film.
Oh, he rides a horse.
Yes, he does.
Yes, Mary. He rides a horse at one point.
You would imagine if he's in Africa, he's not going to be riding a Corvette.
Oh, okay. Well, no, he's in New York. How'd he get a horse?
Oh, in New York.
No, never mind.
It's not all set in New York, Mary.
Okay.
Oh my God! Just watch the movie.
Okay, I will. I will put that on my list.
I was going to say, Juan, you're giving this one away, right? Mail it to Mary. Mary, watch it, then send it to Dax. Okay, Dax won't mind. And you need to watch this, Mary. My goodness.
Oh, I'll find it. It's probably on Amazon.
It probably is.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I guess that's it for the contest.
Okay.
Well, I think that's enough for the contest, by God.
Yeah, really. Wow. Okay. Back to the movie, The Beast with Five Fingers. Actually, what? Are you going to give something else away?
What? Who, me?
What? He said actually. Didn't you? No?
No, did we?
I don't know. The Beast with Five Fingers.
Oh, okay, hang on a second, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, professionalism. Always professionalism. Okay, carry on, Mary.
Oh.
We got to get Mary to stop laughing on that laughing gas there, You got a canister of laughing gas.
Maybe I just had an MRI a couple days ago, so maybe it's the electromagnetic stimulation or something.
Oh, that's what it is?
Yeah, that must be it.
Yeah, that's it, Mary. You've been electromagnetically stimulated.
It did something to the metal in my hips. I did not know you could get an MRI with metal in your body. But then I found out that it's only if you have iron. So, like jewelry and stuff you have to take off. And if you got like a little chip in your eye from something, welding or something, that'll screw you up. And the old heart pacemakers had iron in them. And that's why they changed all the new pacemakers so that people can get MRIs now. I didn't know that.
Is all that stuff made of titanium now?
I don't know. My hips are.
Well, see, there you go. You have titanium. My God, Mary, you're like the $6 million man.
I know.
With your titanium hips and stuff.
That's true. That's true. Those hips are worth more than anything I own.
I have no response to that.
Yeah, I know. Oh. Can we get back to the movie now?
What movie are we doing? Five Finger Death Punch? Yes, let's go.
Stop.
What?
Okay. It's a good movie. I really liked it.
The end.
The end. No.
All right. So Mary.
What?
It's a good movie.
Yes.
What was good about it?
Everything.
Well, that's specific. Let me guess. There was German expressionism.
It really did have good photography.
There was a great Italian village.
Did they do it in Italy? Or was it just a set?
I'm pretty sure it was just a set.
It was a set.
Oh, that's true. They only had $750,000 to make the whole movie, so.
Well, that was a lot more back then than it is now. But here's the other thing, Mary. This was 1946. This was right after World War II.
Oh, yeah, true.
I don't think they were going to go flying over to Italy to film in the middle of the ruin.
That's a good point. That's a real good point, because most of the people that did this movie came here from, like, Europe to escape World War II.
Well, yeah, but okay, it was over, so I don't think they had as much to worry about, but still.
Well, no, they came over earlier.
Yes, Mary, I know.
It's going to be one of those nights, isn't it?
I think it already has been, but that's beside the point.
Okay. So, Juan, what did you like about the movie?
I like pretty much everything about it because of the fact that, keeping in mind that this movie led to an array or a vast films in the same vein as the hand thing that we talked about earlier.
Severed hand movies.
And it go. I mean, very so many films from the silent era all the way up into the 60s. I mean, I guess maybe one led to the other, and the foray of these films that were from Warner Brothers. This happens to be, by the way, Peter Lorre's last film that he did. Okay.
It was like the last horror film that Warner Brothers did too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
For
kind of, sort of, kind of.
Yeah.
But I mean, when they were working on the script for this film, I mean, basically, the director Florey, was assigned to direct with Paul Henry and Andrea King, and they wanted to get the screenwriter Kurt Sielmack, who originally had written the film, but he turned it down. So then I guess the casting went to Robert Alda. I like Alda in this film because I mean the interpretation of the way the film was very much had a little feeling of some of the previous releases, like for example Mad Love, the one with Lorre, and The Hands of Orlac. Remember I think we did that one some years back, which was the silent version from 1924.
Yeah.
That production, it was an Austrian silent film. But the Mad Love one from 1935, it is a sound remake of that silent one, which was the Hands of Orlac from 24. So I mean, from then on, I guess the studios, Warner Brothers and Paramount, kept in the vein of wanting to continue to do movies, horror films or thriller mystery films having to do with pianists, i.e. these great concert pianists that somehow lose their hands, either in a crash or at a fire or something, and now they don't have the hand anymore to play the great grand pianos and the concertos or whatever. So now they go to the ultimate means of getting the hands replaced with another hand that turns out to be not the hand that they wanted to have, but it could have been in the hand of an evil person, a murderer, or so forth. Like Hands of a Stranger from 1962. That's another one that had to do with a hand situation. And so many, so on and on.
Well, I read that Sidomac, the guy...
Sidomac, yeah. Kurt Sidomac.
He was under contract with Universal.
Yes, he was.
But
doing a lot of the early films from the 30s from Universal.
Yeah, but the head of Universal was Robert Arthur, and he didn't like horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he ended up going to Warner Brothers to do it.
Right. The interpretation of this film I really enjoyed. I liked everything about this movie. The cast, the way, the story, the plot, everything up into the very end. It's got a little twist ending there. If you remember how it ended, okay? I mean, but a little comedic taste to it, but overall, you would see that the characters all involved in this film had a good plot storyline, which, quote unquote, The Beast with the Five Fingers, the title came from, which was later remade in 1981. If you remember, The Hand is an immediate remake of this movie from Michael Caine. I don't know if you remember that one or not.
No, I actually do. I don't recall. Let me rephrase that. I don't remember much about it because I haven't seen it since the early '80s.
Yeah,
but I remember
that was actually Nick. That was it was an Oliver Stone film. It was directed by Oliver Stone, and having Michael Caine in the cast, it was considered to be like an American psychological type of horror film, and it was directed by Stone. And again, and the film is basically just like this film. That would be like a remake, or the remake of this one, on how the turn of events that happen when you lose his hand and stuff like that. Great score, and this is again another Warner Brothers project that released this movie. Was finally released on DVD, I think it was, 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it did come but it became a cult favorite too. So, many other films that genre, the quote unquote hand story, my take on it overall, I enjoy it. I mean, because of the fact that the production was very well, and it went back. You can go back and watch some of these earlier hand type films. The Hands of Orlac is really good. It's a good movie. I think we did that one, the silent version. And Mad Love. Mad Love had a story related to the same thing, with Peter Lorre.
And I think we did Mad Love too.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yep, we did.
Oof. Okay.
Way back.
Okay. I read that Peter Lorre liked playing with that prop hand during production. And he would hide it in the co-star's dressing room, and he'd stuff it in a drawer or smash it into her shoe or hang it in her robe pocket. Andrea King, she said that the hand could and would be somewhere, but I know it was always Peter that did it.
He's just joking around with her, huh?
Yeah. He was supposed to have been quite funny on the set.
I could see that. He seems like he'd be a fun guy to have hung around with.
Yeah. They said during some of the series dinner scenes that they had in this movie, Lorre would put celery in his ears and a carrot up his nose. And everybody would just burst out laughing and have to halt the production.
Well, you like I said, there is a comedic taste to the film, too.
Yeah.
There's certain parts of the film where it's kind of like a little comedic, even towards the end there. Yeah. But, I mean, it's just... I guess Peter didn't want to have it an all-straight, serious horror film, if you know what I mean. Like Mad Love was more serious, more on the horror side. With this one here, even though it's got a horror title, The Beast, you'd think it would be some kind of monster with 5 fingers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in reality, it's not. They just used the word beast to offset thinking, oh, yeah, you got to go see this film because it's a monster with 5 fingers. But in reality, it's not.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is, Juan. Maybe it is.
Depends
We're
on how
not
you
giving
look at
anything
it.
away, right? Oh. All right. So
basically, real quick, I want to go into a couple of the director's key in this film. And I got a few things to say about the director, Robert Florey, because to me, I thought this man was one of the all-time greatest directors and producers that come from the other side of the world, from France. And then he landed in Hollywood at a ripe age. I mean, young and at the right time. 1920, 21 was the decade that was supposed to start the decade of great silent films. Up until 1929, of course. And Florey was involved in so many projects throughout the 20s in silent films. His capital was, he wanted to be a great French-American director. And, he did it all. He was a screenwriter and everything else. But, I mean, when he landed, he knew where to go. Going to Hollywood, and stuff like that, and getting the right gigs, working for Paramount and Warner Brothers. He didn't go with MGM for some reason because the MGM had the big shots. They had Irving Thalberg, they had Louis B. Mayer, and all the big shots. So supposedly MGM was the king back in the 20s, and they were putting Paramount second, and I guess Fox was third. But, I mean, he decided to go with Paramount Warner Brothers. He did pretty good. I mean, up until the one that I really liked the most for Florey as the director, believe it or not, it's not a horror film. It's the first talkie right out of the silent era in 1929, which was the Marx Brothers Coconut movie. The very first Marx Brothers film, The Coconuts. Yeah. And that he directed that. And that right there, that got him going. And right after that, with the talkies in play, he figures, okay, I'm going to take a run for it, and I'm going to start producing, directing great sound pictures for Universal and Warner Brothers and Paramount.
Yeah, I remember we talked about Florey a lot when we did the Face Behind the Mask podcast.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy is no stranger to great films, and he went on to, my God, a lot of his films actually did make the Library of Congress preservation. It made the film registry preservation, where some of these movies really were masterpieces that he created. And, one quick trivia about Florey, real quick, noting that when he landed in Hollywood, in 21, because he was already a famous journalist in France when he was over there and stuff like that, and he worked for different magazines. And he landed the right job when he came to Hollywood in 21, working under Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford. He was a manager for Valentino, and he even did stuff for Charlie Chaplin on the side. I mean, some of the early shorts for Chaplin in the early 20s. So, I mean, everybody, the name is known.
Yes.
Throughout his great, directing and producing, and when he went on, he went on to do stuff for MGM after 1925, 26. So he was in one of my favorites with John Gilbert, which is La Boheme, and Baudelaire's The Magnificent, which were two John Gilbert movies from 1926. So, his name is very well known in the early years of motion pictures throughout the 20s. Then he went on and spread out through the 30s and the 40s, and he's a legend in itself. So that's what I got to say.
The Life and Death of 9413, a Hollywood extra, made in 1928. I've got to get a copy of that.
Which one's that?
Life and Death of 9413, a Hollywood extra.
Oh.
It was really one of his first directing movies, and avant-garde. Well, it was a short film, but still, I'd really like to see that, because it was all German expressionism.
There you go.
Oh, good. But I was afraid we wouldn't talk any more about that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Terrified.
Yep. Anyway, the writer, Sidomak. I'm going to say it wrong constantly.
Kurt Siodmak.
Yeah. I think he's incredible.
Well, he did. Hey, he's the guy who wrote The Wolfman.
Yes.
The end.
Yes. And I Walked with a Zombie, and Son of Dracula, and Frankenstein Meets a Wolfman, House of Frankenstein.
Yeah, whatever. He wrote The Wolfman.
Creature with the Atomic Brain.
Hey.
Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
Yeah, whatever.
I didn't know he wrote Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Isn't that...
Well, hey, you want to really blow your mind, Mary?
What?
The movie Donovan's Brain was based on the novel Donovan's Brain that he wrote. And that was a best-selling novel.
Oh. Okay.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I tell you, I really like him because he was a very creative writer. And I think one of the things that people don't realize, and this is me, okay, I'm up on my werewolf high horse again, but so many little bits and pieces of what we now consider to be canon for werewolves just came from him.
Oh, really?
It's like, like the whole thing about Silver, that he came up with that.
Oh.
Before. Yeah, if you look back at any historical lore about werewolves, there was nothing to do with Silver up until he brought it on, other than the fact that often Silver was considered to be an anathema to supernatural beings. But it wasn't specifically the only way you could kill a werewolf. That was his shtick. And the other thing is the wolfman, or the werewolves changing at the full moon. Traditional lycanthropy really didn't have that much to do with the moon. So, he really brought all this stuff in. And my favorite bit is that little gypsy poem, even a man who's pure at heart and says his prayers by night can become a wolf when the wolf's bane blooms and the autumn moon is bright.
Oh.
Which, yeah, that was 100% his. He made that up.
Wow.
But he made it up, and people were like, "Ooh, that sounds real."
It does.
So yeah. So it's become part of the, I guess, the canon, as it were, for werewolves, and so we owe so much of that to Kurt Siodmak or Siodmak or Siodmak, Tiamat, whatever his name is. But and yes, he did do a ton of other movies, but to me, his big contributions were all the stuff that we now take for granted about werewolves. So much of it he threw into it just for plot convenience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he did good.
He did a great job. And I gotta say, I have not seen a movie that he wrote that I didn't think was worth watching. Let's put it that way.
Well, I've got to tell you guys, here's a film that I would... Hello?
Kuruku.
Gesundheit.
Oh, the Beast of the Amazon. Yes. He did that one. But that was a later 50s fair that he did. But I would like to tell you, there's another movie, believe it or not, that you both would enjoy. And the film was based on the 1933 novel that Siodmak did. It's called, it's a German film. It's called FP1. That's the one. That's the name of the film. And believe it or not, Peter Lorre is in this film. So I mean, basically the film was shot in '32, and it premiered in Berlin later that year, and it had both French and English language versions. But Siodmak, he wanted to do a complete French version, French/German version of the film, and it's an excellent war film with Peter Lorre in it. So if you really want to see some awesome screenplay and direction by this man here, by Kurt Siodmak, check out FP1 from 1932.
He directed that? He didn't write it, he actually directed it?
From 1932.
So I'm asking, did he actually direct that one?
Hello?
Hello. Did Siodmak...
No. He didn't direct that one.
Oh, he wrote
He
it.
actually did the screenplay for that one based on the novel.
Okay.
That movie, FP1, was directed by Carl Hart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's an excellent film, and you can see, how he was able to put the screenplay from the 33 novel, but it's got the same name, but that was Siodmak's novel. And it's basically an awesome film. You talk about a film with a lot of adventure and stuff, and FP1 has it all in it. With Peter Lorre, of course, is in that one too. So check that one out.
Okay, that's the German sci-fi picture from 1932.
Yeah, it's actually it's Antwortnicht. Antwortnicht. It's actually the name of it in German, but it's actually FP1 doesn't answer.
Yeah.
It's
the floating platform one does not answer.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
That's what the FP stands for. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's basically it's like one of those oil type rigs, in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It's like an air station that's there in the middle of the ocean. Oh. And it's really, really pretty good. I don't want to spoil anything with that, but if you get a chance to check that one out, please do.
Okay. I like the fact that he and his wife were hired as extras on Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Oh, yeah.
And they just did it because they wanted to get a story on the director in his film, because they were writers.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really want to be extras, but, they'll do anything to get a story, I guess.
Now, one thing about him also, he worked with other great directors and producers and script writers. He had the opportunity to work with Edgar G. Ulmer, who went on to do films like Five and some other great films, and even scripted films with Billy Wilder and Fred Zinnemann and some of these other great producers and writers back in the day, in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, he was one of the people who had to leave Germany because of the Nazis and Hitler.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So, I mean, everything was based all around this. Back in the time, it was about, when you leave the country, like they left their countries, Germany or whatever, France, around the war period times or even before that. Basically, they decide they have to immigrate and leave for some reason, and I guess they don't want to be put forward or go through hearings or go through things, anti-Semitic stuff that was going on by the Nazi propaganda, which was done by Joseph Goebbels. Mm-hmm. But anyway, like what Nick said, when he did the screenplay for the Wolfman, that was like right there is what that put him into super blockbuster status. After that, everything he did, Universal wanted him to do pretty much have his name on all their films, all their monster movies. Dracula, Frankenstein, Mummy, all of them, because he put such an awesome touch to the Wolfman in 1941 that it maintained to be one of the best Universal monster films.
Okay, I have a good piece of trivia here. He lived in Three Rivers, California, not far from the city of Visalia, and that was the inspiration for the name of the fictional town of Visaria, the setting for the Wolfman movies.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. I also like that he directed The Magnetic Monster. That was I like that movie a lot.
Actually, that was a good flick.
That's the one with the giant mountains, right?
No, that was the, oh God, what was that? The Monolith Monsters.
Oh, okay. I'm getting my monsters mixed up.
Yeah, the Magnetic Monster was good too, but the Monolith Monsters, actually, okay, we did the Monolith Monsters on the cast way back in the day.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, looking back on it, that I felt like was one of the more creative monster movies. Because let's face it, the monsters were rocks. It was just rock that's spreading.
Yeah, the Magnetic Monsters, guys, basically that one had to do with energy fields and energy force fields and everything with Richard Carlson. So it could have been an energy monster you could see, but it really didn't develop into a monster per se, like of course, the monoliths were monoliths. They were giant rocks. They were coming out of this crater, so you actually get to see these things move. But in the Magnetic Monsters, it was all energy-based, energy-type mass through scientific views and inside this chamber. So you didn't see a magnetic energy monster coming out and causing havoc and destruction on the countryside. That didn't happen.
Okay. What was Donovan's brain about? Because they made it 4 different times.
It was about Donovan's brain.
Well, I mean, did they take it out of his head or something?
Yeah, it was okay. It was the movie where the brain was in a fish tank.
Oh.
And because come on, Mary. Vince would have loved. Did we do that one? I don't know if we did that one or not on the cast, but it was one that Vince would have loved because it was a disembodied brain.
Yeah.
And because and this was the logic. The scientists put Donovan's brain in a fish tank and was keeping it alive. And because the brain didn't have to run the body, apparently all this extra energy, it was then able to do all sorts of weird things and like control people and move stuff with its mind and everything else. So it's a fun little flick. I mean, and that's the thing. Cedamac really, I would look at a lot of his stuff as kind of the early versions of some of the sci-fi films that came out, like Jurassic Park and Westworld and things like that, because he was really bringing a lot of science to the science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, it wasn't great science because you know what happens when you put a brain in a fish tank? You ruin your fish tank. So, why are you groaning? Do you think you'd want to put fish in there after you had some dude's brain in it?
Just clean it.
But 10 years later, after he did the Donovan's brain in 53, in 62 or 63, they went on to do another brain movie called The Brain. It was just called The Brain. which was it was another sci-fi thriller. It was a British sci-fi thriller, believe it or not. This one had hammer overtones into it because it was actually directed by Freddie Francis. But I mean, that's another brain film there to concoct with Donovan's brain.
We need to do Donovan's brain.
What's that?
We need to do Donovan's brain.
Okay,
well,
we could do it.
That one of our countdown movies, Mary.
Ooh.
It's very appropriate.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, Mary's all about it now, and yes, that's very appropriate, actually. Sorry, I haven't seen Donovan's Brain in years, but I do remember liking the movie.
Okay. I don't know. We haven't done Donovan's Brain. We haven't done The Brain.
We'll put that one on the front burner, guys. How's that?
Okay. One of the 10
Well, to the left of center.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, we got enough stuff on the front burner for the rest of this year. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah, we're kind of booked up for the rest of this year.
But
what?
We're looking. No, we're looking at our countdown to 500. Yeah. So this would be a good one. And
I do know what 500 is going to be.
Yes, but don't tell anyone, Mary.
Okay, I won't.
So basically, just to add on to Kurt Sielmak's his credibility and his credits and things like that, because of Donovan's Brain, an earlier version of that. Donovan's Brain came about from an earlier version called The Lady and the Monster. It was a 1944 film from that was done by George Sherman, but Sielmak was involved with that one, and that was a good sci-fi movie in the same vein. Believe it or not, it had Erich von Stroheim in it.
Are you talking about the 1944 version?
Yeah, the 44 version.
Sidemak said that he thought it was a piece of shit.
I thought it was pretty good, to tell you the truth. I don't know about Sidemak, but that's me, okay? But I mean, when you see Donovan's Brain, you see Lady and the Monster, they're side by side because it's basically the Lady and the Monster was the first storyline, and then Donovan's Brain was based out of that one.
Okay, so the Donovan's Brain from 1953.
We could do a double feature.
The producer was Tom Grease, and Sidemak said that he didn't like him. Grease didn't like Sidemak, so he wouldn't let him direct it.
Oh, wow.
Said he was the meanest son of a bitch I'd ever seen.
Wow. But no, it's a pretty good movie. It's got a good cast too, The Lady and the Monster. Heck, it's got Richard Arlen and Vera Walston and Stroheim. Stroheim was big in the 30s and even the silent era. But it's a brain movie. So I mean, think about that one.
Yeah, Brain in a Tank.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good.
So there you go. Mac, a great career, I tell you what, these people that come from these screenwriters and these novelists and these producers and these directors that come from the other side of the world, the lake over there in Europe, Germany, France, all these countries over there, they were, to me, I've always F.W. Bernal, Fritz Lang, all these people, they came here and they really created something that, we never thought we'd see. Except if you go over there to their countries, you will see these things over there. But they're legends in itself, all these producers, screenwriters, and directors,
Yeah.
So that's why I appreciate all these films like the one we're doing tonight and so forth,
Mm-hmm. Me too. Yep. And the music in this was great.
Oh, of course.
Well, Max Steiner did the music.
You cannot go wrong with him.
Okay, I could barely hear Nick.
Max Steiner did the music.
Thank you.
Jesus. Hang on.
Steiner was classified among the top, I would say the top 10 of musical composers of the I'm talking about the silent era through the early 30s, pre-code, and on through the 40s and 50s, and then some. I mean, because you put all these other musical composers, and I love them all. I mean, you know, I'm one of my favorites is Miklos Rosa. I like his scores. Bernard Herrmann is one of my all-time favorites. You know, he was our guy for all the sci-fi movies of the 1950s. You know, Bernard Herrmann, and then you got Dmitri Tiomkin, who was another great composer that did so many, films. His trademark name throughout all these movies, Alfred Newman and all those guys. But I would have to say that Steiner, because of the fact that he was number one when he did King Kong, that put him on the top of the map. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I like the fact that he used Brahms' piece. So Brahms
I have no response to that, Mary, because I don't know classical music.
I don't either.
Particularly.
I know.
So, but okay. Well, the music was really good in the film, and it was a central part of the story, to be honest.
Yes.
Because that was the thing. Every time somebody was being murdered or about to be murdered or whatever, the piano would play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always playing that one piece of music. Yes. And that was the piece that, what's his name, Alda's character, had specifically transcribed for, the guy, because he had lost the ability to, because it was Francis Ingram was the guy, and Robert Alda was Bruce Conrad, who was his friend, but also kind of a hired gun whose job it was to take music and translate it into stuff that he could play with just one hand.
Yeah.
And by the way, I would consider that to be a very talented composer in and of themselves.
I know.
If they could take a classical piano piece and make it viably playable with just one hand.
I know. That's amazing.
I mean, wow.
It beats Liberace any day, huh?
Well, I don't know. Nobody can beat Liberace, but that's beside the point. But no, and this was the thing. I could never quite figure out if his character was supposed to be a hack, a shyster, or just a decent guy.
I know.
And I don't think I really understood even at the end what he was.
I know.
But I liked it. His character was very human, I felt like.
Yeah. Well, I guess the piano player had a stroke and lost the use of his left hand. Or right.
And his legs. Yeah, he was pretty much just down to his left hand.
Yeah, and that's all he could play. Well, I guess he lost the right side of his body.
Yeah, he lost the right side of his body, and I guess they made out like he couldn't really use either of his legs, too. Which doesn't sound very much like a stroke.
Yeah.
With a stroke, usually it affects one side of your body or it affects your entire body. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't usually affect both your legs and one of your hands. But at the same time, that's kind of splitting hairs.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's where he met Bruce Conrad up in New York when he got sick.
Yeah.
And that's also when he met his nurse.
I was going to say, that's also when he met Julie Holden, played by Andrea King.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not know. I didn't realize Bruce Conrad, the kind of con man composer, the guy we were talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was Alan Alda's father.
Well, yeah. Well, Bruce Conrad wasn't, but Robert Alda. Robert Alda was.
Yeah.
Yes, that was
that.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, and I also didn't realize that Robert Alda, I guess, he was really good in plays over here, but then he couldn't make a movie career, so he actually went to Rome and lived there for 15 years in the 60s. So he kind of understood. And that's why he could speak Italian so well in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Well, they made this movie before he went to live over there.
Oh, that's true.
So, yeah, I don't think one had anything to do with the other, Mary, but perhaps if he had a good knowledge of Italian, it would make him more likely to want to move to Italy where they speak Italian.
That's true. Well, yeah, they were Italian.
Well, see, there you go.
The Alda is just a stage name for, like, the first two letters of his first name and the first two letters of his last name.
Oh.
And I forgot what the name really was. But it's very Italian.
Okay. Oh, Mamma Mia. It's a very Italian name.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, being born to full Italian parents that immigrated to the U.S. and being born here as an American Italian, I mean, the name speaks for itself. Alfonso Giuseppe Giovanni Roberto di Ambrusa. And being born in New York City, among all the Italian greats, just take it from there.
Yeah.
Who knows? They might have been even related to some of the mob people, Gotti and all these other mafiosos from the early 30s and 40s or whatever,
Probably not. The Bruzzo, that's it. That would be cool for Alan Alda to be able to... Well, I don't know when Alan Alda was born. Yeah. Okay, Alan Alda was born in 36, so if he... Yeah. He didn't move there until the 60s. So Alan Alda did not grow up in Italy.
No, he was an adult by the time his dad moved to Italy.
Yeah. Andrea King, the nurse...
Andrea King.
Yeah, she was voted the most photographic actress on the lot for the year 1945.
Wow.
And she was on Perry Mason a lot in 1957. She did a lot of television afterwards.
Yeah, she did. She was in one of my favorite noir movies from the 50s, which I think you guys did, Nightmare Alley. I don't know if we did Nightmare Alley or not.
Yes.
With she was the doctor in Nightmare. Casted to be along with Andrea King in that movie.
Yes, she played Dr. Ritter.
She was in a lot of noir films, the 50s.
So it's interesting. We've had a lot of tie-ins to previous films with this one.
Yeah. One of my favorite characters in this movie was J. Carrol Nash, the commissario.
The commissario was kind of awesome. He reminded me a lot of Columbo for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, he was
an Italian Columbo, right, Nick?
Yeah, it was just, he was very much excuse me, I think I'm going to go, but, just one more thing, and I felt like he was kind of like that through the movie.
Yeah. He wasn't a bumbling detective. He was really good.
Well, he bumbled, but at the same time, he still got things done.
Yeah.
He was... and it was also interesting because, remember, he's the commissario in this little Italian village. And that's one of the things, when all the bad stuff starts going on, he had to deal with all the superstition. Because, let's face it, it was set in, it was supposedly 50 years before the movie was made. So we're talking turn of the century Italy.
Yeah.
In a rural village, there's going to be a lot of superstition going on there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought he was great in it.
Really
was. Because he did a lot of horror films. But, I think this guy even got a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But what's funny is he's Irish, but he always got cast as, like, Mexican and African-American, Oriental, Italian. He always got, like, bad guy roles.
Right, he did.
Yeah, but he had a gift for dialect, and he had a really great voice.
Well, my favorite, believe it or not, silent film of his, of J. Carroll, was a little piece that was directed by Raoul Walsh in 1926 called What Price Glory. It was a war film with Wallace Beery, and Nash, J. Carroll Nash, was in that one. A young J. Carroll Nash, 1926, mind you. to be starting that early, he was doing stuff in the silent era already. So I mean, great. His uncredited bit roles, and it was uncredited in What Price Glory, but still you can see he's in the film, and he's been in tons of movies after that. I think he's even been nominated for an Academy Award too.
Yeah, but he never got one. It's a shame.
Yeah.
Yep.
He should have got it. He should have got it. He's my favorite. Nick, you'll like this one. J. Carrol Naish happens to be my favorite Charlie Chan character, believe it or not. He did the TV series Charlie Chan, the TV series. He was Charlie Chan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And he did radio because he had such a great voice.
There's another villain he played that was pretty cool. If you ever watched the serial, the Batman serial, he was the Japanese villain, Dr. Daka. Yeah. In the Batman serial from the 1940s, he was the Japanese villain who wanted to take control. And in the 12 chapter serial, there was J. Carrol Naish playing Dr. Daka, the Japanese villain.
Wow.
In Batman the serial. Wow. That was I like that one because it was Douglas Croft and Lewis Wilson, but you could see when J. Carrol, the way he talks, he had that real Japanese drawl when he talked. He said, "Yeah, and you could hear, the Japanese coming out of him in his portrayal of Dr. Daka.
Yeah, his dialects were incredible.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. There's one other guy I wanted to talk about, David Hoffman, the lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Was it Dupre or Duprex?
Dupre.
I thought it was Dupre.
Okay. Well, he was the disembodied head in the Crystal Ball in Universal's Inner Sanctum series.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and they used one of those clips in a Hammer film, Tales of Frankenstein, in '58. Yeah. He was evil in this movie.
Pretty bad guy.
Well, there were a lot of evil people in this movie. Well, it wasn't just one.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were a lot of evil people and not a lot of comeuppance for them either.
I know.
It was kind of, but we don't want to get into too much detail because, like I said, I don't want to give away a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I didn't like the cousin and his son. Or the nephew.
Yeah. No, I would agree, but
those two were really... Oof.
Yeah.
Especially the son.
Well, no, I was much more about the dad. The dad was the one that I thought was worst.
Yeah.
Worst. The worst.
The son was in Face Behind the Mask, too. I don't remember him in it, but... I don't even know who he played.
A character.
Yeah. He has a pretty good filmography himself. The Son, Beast with Five Fingers, Destination Tokyo, Muscle Beach Party. We need to do that one.
Do we have to?
He did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Arsenic and Old Lace, Casablanca, Invisible Agent, Maltese Falcon. He did a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But always sort of like as a extra person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Was there anybody else you want to talk about?
I can't think of anybody.
Well, good. Then let's talk about the movie itself.
Okay.
So what happened in this? Well, there was a beast with 5 fingers, and that was the end.
You really don't want to give anything away, do you?
Well, I don't want to give away too much, like I said, so that'll stop it.
Yeah. Don't spoil us on this one, Nick, because maybe a lot of people haven't seen this one.
Dude, I'm not giving away any spoilers.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I've already said I'm not giving away any spoilers.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so Francis Ingram, and that's Victor Francian, he's this big-time pianist that lives in, I guess he's kind of retired to this villa in a small, isolated Italian village. And he's retired there after he had this stroke while he was playing in New York. And it left the right side of his body completely immobile. And so he's stuck in a wheelchair. Now, that said, he doesn't exhibit any of the classic, kind of slurred voice or any of the facial paralysis that you might see with, your typical stroke victim. But he definitely has no use of the right side of his body. And for a classically trained pianist, especially one that's a concert professional, this is just horrible. But the good news for him is, unlike poor people, he has lots of money, so he can do okay even with his disability.
He has an entourage.
So he's got his little entourage, and that includes his. Okay, this is weird, but he's got this guy who's his secretary and astrologist. And that's Hillary Cummins, and that's played by our boy Peter Lorre. And he is absolutely obsessed with all the books that are in Ingram's library. I mean, he's just obsessed with them. And apparently this guy's been Ingram's secretary for like 20 years. And over the course of that time, Laurie's character would bug him to buy a book for him, and he would buy the books and put them in the library. And now Lorre is spending all of his time just pouring through these books, looking for the secrets of life in the universe through the occult or something of that nature. I mean, it's really hard to say what he's looking for. He just keeps describing it as the lost secrets of the universe and all this. So, good luck with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ingram also has a nurse, Julie Holden, and that's Andrea King, and she is essentially there as his nurse, but also as kind of his companion. He kind of falls for her, I guess, when he first had his stroke, and so he really comes to rely on her as a friend. And then, of course, he's got his...
Her.
Do what?
It was creepy. He was obsessed with her.
Well, yes, he was, Mary, but, it was creepy, but at the same time, she seemed to totally be immune to his creepiness, which was kind of weird. Mm-hmm. But anyway, he also had his buddy Bruce Conrad, and that was Robert Alda. And then his sister's son, Don Arlington, and that was John Alvin. Well, Ingram kind of falls in love with Julie, like we said, but at the same time, Julie's kind of in love with Bruce, and Bruce is in love with her. And the two of them are kind of hooking up on the side, and Peter Lorre's kind of noticing this. And there's this really weird, awkward dinner that they have where, Ingram just starts going, "Do you think I'm insane? Do you think I'm of sound mind? Am I of sound mind?" And he goes around the table and makes everybody say that they think he's of sound mind. And then he says, "Okay, good. Now, lawyer, take this down. Here's my new will. I want these guys to witness it," and then boom. And here's the thing. He lays the document out in front of everybody and has them sign it as witnesses. Nobody reads it. So it comes as a big surprise to everybody later on what's in the document. And it's his last will and testament. And I don't think it's going to be a spoiler to say no one should have been shocked by who he's leaving everything to. But anyway, so he's been having a lot of problems, and one of the weird things is they start talking about the fact that everything is now, his whole life is this left hand. And they actually talk about the fact that it's like Ingram has concentrated all of his talent and all of his skill, but also all of his anger into this one hand. And it's just this concentrated hand of power. And that seemed like a weird thing to talk about, but they do because, got to set stuff up, I guess. Because this movie isn't called The Beast with 5 Toes, is it? Mm-hmm. No, it's The Beast with 5 Fingers, meaning it's a hand, in case anybody missed that. And in case you didn't look at the poster, by the way, which is a picture of a giant hand with little tiny people under it. But anyway, I mean, it's a good classic poster. Mm-hmm. But so, you know, he's having all these issues, and meanwhile, Bruce and Julie are out in the garden, and they're talking, and Julie's thinking she's going to leave, and Bruce is like, well, you know, if you leave, I may leave with you, and we're in love, and, oh, let's have a big smoochy kiss. And so they're having a big smoochy kiss while Peter Lorre's watching them. And so he goes running to Ingram and tells Ingram about this. Well, Ingram doesn't believe him. And he doesn't believe him because he's kind of in denial about the fact that Julie sees him nothing more as a friend, you know, and a patient.
Yeah.
And so he actually reaches out and grabs Peter Lorre with his one good hand, and Ingram literally almost chokes Peter Lorre to death with that one hand. And, you know, he leaves these bruises on his neck, and it's pretty relentless. And so, needless to say, Peter Lorre's character is not in Ingram's good graces at this point. Well, that night, Ingram is, you know, he's all upset, and Julie takes him and puts him in bed and is sitting there with him, and, you know, it's all good, but she gets tired of sitting there, and he's asleep, and so she's like, I'm going to go to bed. And so later that night, Ingram wakes up because there's a storm blowing, and the wind is blowing through a window, and it's banging the window, and he's all annoyed, but Julie won't come when he yells for her because, oh yeah, she's probably on the other side of this giant mansion and can't hear him. So he decides to get out of bed on his own, gets in his wheelchair, and starts wheeling around. And by the way, this is my observation. This dude had a huge house, right? Mm-hmm. He's confined to a wheelchair. Move your bedroom to the first floor, dude. Okay, because I don't know how he even got upstairs. There was no elevator. There's no elevator. This is like 1890 something.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, did they have elevators back then?
Well, in rural Italy in the 1890s, I'm going to say maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But I don't think I ever saw an elevator.
Those lifts that you know, with ropes that you pull up.
Well, I didn't even see any of those.
Yeah.
So what I saw was this dude rolling to the top of the stairs, yelling for Julie, and then he falls down the stairs to his death. Now, was it murder? Was he pushed, or did he just fall? It's hard to tell. You don't see anybody else there, but, you know, whatever the case. So the commissar shows up, and he kind of opens a little bit of an investigation, but says, there's no sign of murder. We're going to let this go. So then, a few days later, the nephew, Donald's... What?
No. You're okay.
Okay, you just made a noise like somebody stepped on your toe. That's why
I think that was something in the lines.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. So a few days later, Donald's dad, Raymond Arlington, and that's Charles Dingle, he arrives, and he's kind of this American businessman, and he's blah, 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 and we're going to sell everything in the house because I'm quite certain that my son is going to inherit everything. And Dupree, the attorney, reads the will, and here's a shocker. Instead of leaving it to his conniving nephew or, you know, the nephew's dad, or leaving everything to somebody else, he leaves his entire estate, lock, stock, and two smoking barrels, to Julie. And, you know, and everybody's just like, whoa, that's surprising. And of course, Donald's father Raymond and Donald are just like, well, we're going to contest this. Well, the not so upstanding attorney Dupree says that he can be persuaded to help them overturn the will in favor of an older one. that he knows exists that names the nephew as the sole beneficiary. Of course, what he wants is 1/3 of the estate. Well, they agree. And so he's going to do this. But then, oh, wait, that night the servants had seen a light in the mausoleum where Ingram was buried. What? Yeah. Now, suddenly, a hand seems to appear out of nowhere and strangles Ingram, Dupree to death. Dun, dun, dun.
Yay.
So, yeah, yay, because he was kind of a butthole.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. So Dupree is dead, and now all of a sudden the commissar has to open up a murder investigation. Well, all the evidence points to the fact that Ingram's left hand just got up and came out to go on a murder spree. Because they go to the mausoleum and check the body, and sure enough, the left hand has been cut off. What? Yeah, it's not only been cut off, it's missing. And then they look outside, and there's a small hole broken in the window, a hole just big enough for a disembodied hand to fit through. And then you've got this whole thing. There's like little tiny fingerprints in the dirt. And when the detective uses the relatively new at the time science of fingerprinting, he discovers that the fingerprints on everything are actually Ingram's fingerprints. So either the hand has come back to life, or someone is using that hand to kind of fake it and do murder. Now, I forgot to mention, by the way, that when Dupree was murdered, everybody finds his body because they hear the piano being played. And it's being played exactly the way Ingram would play it. And they're like, how can this be? Oh, it's got to be the ghost or the disembodied hand. And, you know, as the investigation drags on, everybody becomes a suspect. But the one who is the biggest suspect seems to be, Bruce and Julie, because at the end of the day, they seem to be the ones that had the most to gain. They were both getting ready to leave the country. You know, there was a whole lot of stuff that kind of throws shade on them. Well, then the nephew almost gets murdered by what appears to be a disembodied hand. Dun, dun, dun. But he escapes death. He's just confined to his bed. Well, at this point, we've got all the suspects. There's also a safe, and the nephew knows the combination to it, because there was a little ditty that Ingram used to sing that had all the numbers of the safe combination into it. And ironically, that little ditty was about how many bones there are in the human hand.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, this guy really had an obsession with his hands. Can I just say that? But anyway, I don't want to give away how the story ends. But I will say there are some really, really good scenes, especially with Peter Lorre.
Oh,
because
yeah.
Peter Lorre plays... His character's a little bit unhinged anyway. And he plays that up very well through this movie.
Yeah.
And there's some very good scenes when he is interacting with what he thinks is the disembodied hand of Ingram that is kind of haunting him.
Mm-hmm.
And those scenes are really well done. And I got to say, for 1946 special effects,
yeah,
they kind of hold up pretty well.
I think so.
There were a couple of times I was like, how'd they do that? I mean, that was some good stuff.
Yeah.
So is the Beast with 5 Fingers a supernatural occurrence where Ingram's disembodied hand has come back to seek revenge on anyone who is trying to foil his will?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it something else where someone is committing murder?
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. I'm not going to tell because I'm not giving away the plot. You'll have to watch it yourselves.
I did love the special effects. They were great.
They were.
They had some concert pianist at that piano playing, but they had him in black velvet. So that's why you only saw the hand. They I don't know how they did it back then in 46, but they somehow, since he was in Black Velvet, they were able to only see his hand. It was kind of like, I guess, early green screen or something.
Kind of.
It must have been.
Yeah.
But that hand...
And they used it. They used a number of different camera tricks, too.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I mean, there were times when it was clearly a kind of a hand with a fake stump attached to it, and there was somebody like under the table reaching up and doing the hand motions. But there were times when it was clear there was nothing there, and it was, and they were using the same kind of effects that they used for the Invisible Man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was some good stuff, though.
Yeah. That was
the mansion. The mansion itself was, to me, was grandeur. Was awesome. Just the look and the appeal. It had that Gothic Victorian look to it. I mean, the staircase. I mean, in the piano in its place, and the bookcases, and all that. I mean, it looked really, really cool.
It's almost like an old dark house.
Yeah, right. It was. I mean, because there was nothing bright about it. I mean especially the second floor, the second landing there.
No, the genre of movies, the old dark house movies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was a cool looking mansion in an Italian villa. To have a house like that, does it tell you there's money there?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, there was plenty of money to be had there. So
yeah, that was director Robert Florey's hand that came out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that one scene where they opened up the box and a hand comes out? That was Florey's hand.
Yes. And by the way, I think that may have been borrowed by the guy who did The Addams Family, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. First thing that popped into my head. Yep. But they had a mechanical hand mounted on wheels, and it was like a toy train. It would inch forward, and that's why the fingers would hunch and then flatten, because it was on wheels, and it would, like, the fingers would catch and then go out and catch and go out.
Huh.
I like that. I don't know how
that was cool.
Yeah. Don't know how they did it, but
movie magic, Mary. Yes. Movie magic.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And I can't believe they actually bought that short story from the writer's widow for £200.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That was great. And I want to correct myself. I was saying that the kid that played the son, John Alvin,
yeah,
he only did Legend of Lizzie Borden, Somewhere in Time, The Beast with Five Fingers, and Destination Tokyo. The other movies I was saying were Peter Lorre movies.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to correct myself. I got my pages mixed up.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Keep your pages straight, Mary. Come on.
I'm going to try. But anyway, it was a great movie. I was surprised.
No, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I would have enjoyed watching Peter Lorre hiding that hand all over the set.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Really, really well put together for me. I mean, heck, even the writer, the guy that wrote, he was a famous writer. I did a lot of short stories. This W.F. Harvey guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's known for doing a lot of English short stories, mostly in the horror genre. He did a lot of horror short stories, and he did this one, The Beast with Five Fingers. But I guess the fact that when you're a good writer, and you got a good producer behind it and a good screenplay, that you definitely could make a good plot, and you could put a very good movie based on just short stories. And this guy Harvey was really good.
Okay, his story was William Fryer Harvey, W.F. Harvey. This story was published in New Decameron in 1919. That's the first time the story was purchased or published. And here's part of what he wrote. The hand was writhing in agonized contortions, squirming and wriggling upon the nail like a worm on a hook. We'll keep it there until it dies, he said. May I burn in hell if I ever open the door of that safe again. So they pretty much stuck to that short story.
I got to tell you, that was a famous story.
Yeah.
It was probably one of the best ones he ever did. So if you read the novelization and the story by Harvey, it's a little different. You know, of course, you know, Mary, that novels, when you watch a movie, there's always a different twist and in the novel. By reading the book or the novel, there's always going to be differences, you know, and stuff like that. Yeah. But he was praised a lot for this story of the Beast with Five Fingers.
That was from his story that I just read. So, anyway, everybody watch the movie. Get it from Juan. He has it.
FifthDimensionFilms.net.
Yes.
You know, this is one of the heavy titles I always carry too for at Monster Bash. A lot of the shows, because it is a 40s movie, but it's considered with Peter Lorre. You know, he always falls into that genre of the 30s and 40s. So noir, because you know he's done a lot of film noir and some of the noirs that he did in the 40s and 50s. So it's a very heavily demanded title for shows like the Mid-Atlantic Nostalgia Convention, Cinevent, and of course the Monster Bash.
Yeah. I can't wait for the Monster Bash next year.
Looking forward to it.
I want to hug everybody.
I'm in the works of talking to Ron, Mary, okay? About what we talked about.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Sounds good. Sounds real good.
Okay.
So, you want to get on with the feedback?
Yeah, let's hit the feedback.
Let's hit the feedback. Well, I got a couple that just said, Happy Halloween, Mary. From Dick Stump and Steve Turk. One of them told me to watch a movie, but I said I was too busy with kids showing up at my door all night.
Oh,
yeah,
well, that's good.
Yeah, well, yeah, I actually...
We had 0 trick-or-treaters at my house.
You're kidding.
Yep, same here.
I had 61.
Wow, you count them?
Yeah, I keep track of it every year,
fair
so
enough.
I know how much candy to buy the next year.
Fair enough.
But I didn't do it last year because I was on crutches and I didn't want to try to get up and get to the door. So.
Okay, so here's the thing, Mary. You keep track of trick-or-treaters so you know how much candy to buy.
Yes.
We bought a ton of candy, and I am not unhappy that we didn't give any of it away. So, I'm not saying that you're putting way too much thought into this, Mary, but you're putting way too much thought into this.
Well, the problem is I eat it if it's around the house, so.
Oh, that's a tragedy.
Yeah, I need more chocolate like I need a hole in my head.
Yeah, tragedy.
Actually, it was slow at the beginning, and I thought, oh my God, I have all these bags of candy. What am I going to do? And then I started thinking about it, and there's like children's homes and like retirement homes and old folks' homes and stuff. So I thought,
you can mail it to me.
I was going to give it away to them, but.
Well, you should just mail it to me.
Okay, I'll remember that next
time. Just saying, I like candy.
Yeah. Okay, this next one's from Scott Wirtz. Says, if I'm not too late, this week's movie was Fiend Without a Face from 1958. Thanks for the Blu-ray last week. Haven't had a chance to watch it. Busy working and seeing live music again. Pent-up desires causing me to go out to concert venues a little too often. The Rolling Stones, LA Favorites X and the Blasters, Halloween Meltdown, 2 days of garage punk hosted by John Waters. Wow. The Grateful Dead coming up, 3 nights in the Hollywood Bowl, and then to Austin to see the Rolling Stones again. I did not know the Rolling Stones were still touring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they are. God love them.
Wow.
I mean, we're one broken hip away from a tragedy, but yeah, they're still touring.
Wow. He says, I'm tired. I have to blend my CFO, CPA life during the day. Talk about having a dual life. And that's from Scott Wirtz from the creepy San Fernando Valley.
All right.
Wow, he's seeing the Stones twice. I'm impressed. Okay, this next one is...
Hello, my Mary, and hello, my Nick. It's Bill Mize, and I absolutely had to push real life aside and send you some feedback on your most recent Nightmare Alley episode with Barry Harding. Now, I'm one of those unwashed masses who had never heard of this movie before, but after listening to the show, I've got to say that I will be seeking it out, adding it to a playlist, a wish list, or something, because it sounds absolutely fascinating. And that, I think, is really one of the keys to the success for your show, is your discussion with your guest, even Nick's rabbit holes, which I love, by the way. It really makes us want to find the dang movie, watch it, and then compare and contrast our own thoughts with yours, and that brings even more to the film-watching experience that we all love, no matter what the genre or time period. Now, that's something that I hope to do with my new podcast that I think I've mentioned in the past. It's called Monsters by the Minute. And with this new show, I'm going to be taking a deep dive into one movie and talking about the influences, the creative process, and the people on both sides of the camera that brought the film to life. Now, for the first season, I've chosen Universal Pictures' 1932 occult classic, The Mummy, starring Boris Karloff, Zita Johann, and David Manners. Folks can search for Monsters by the Minute in their favorite podcast subscription and transmission machine and enjoy a new episode every Saturday. Or they can head over to monstersbytheminute.com and either download or stream it for free there as well. My first episode drops on Saturday, October 30th, just in time for some Halloween listening goodness. 9 episodes, over 9 hours of Universal Monster goodness.
Wow.
Okay, there you go. I always want to thank you both so much for all your kindness and support of Bill Watches Movies and now Monsters by the Minute. I truly appreciate it, and I hope to be giving y'all some in-person hugs at the next Monster Bash in 2022. Woo! Y'all take care of yourselves, and we'll talk soon. Oh, and P.S. As a Karloff level monthly supporter, I would like my donation to go toward buying Nick a new tin can with a string, as the current one seems to be wearing out. All right, bye.
We had a technical issue a bit on that last podcast.
And we've had a few. Life's rough.
Okay.
Wow, that technical issue just killed us, I guess.
No, I need to change your levels again.
Of course you do.
Okay. I'm ready. Okay. It's the last bit of feedback. It's really long, so take a deep breath. It's from Marlo Brown. It says, "Hi, Mary, Nick, Juan, and the gang. The answer to the contest is, I think, Fiend Without a Face, 1958. This one was harder than some of the other contests, but I liked it for opening my eyes to a movie I didn't know. I promise I haven't tapped the phones at the B-Movie Clubhouse, nor am I reading emails. We just all had the same idea at the same time." He's talking about the countdown to our 500th episode. He says, "Besides, weren't Rocky Horror and On Her Majesty's Secret Service both likely choices, and wasn't Mark Boston a good choice as a co-host? I always enjoy his stories and historical references. I've attached a photo of the amazing gift from Santo. It's incredibly generous, and I love it all, from a Hammer film to a great issue of Scary Monsters magazine and even an action figure. Thank you so much to Santito." He does. He puts stuff in those packages that are really great, and it actually seems to match the person he's sending them to. If y'all like the idea of 10 categories for the countdown to 500, I have a few suggestions along with a few titles that might work for y'all. Martial arts is Roadhouse, 1989.
Oh,
I've never heard that one. Okay.
Wait, you've never heard of Roadhouse?
No.
Oh, my. Okay. Wait. Listen. Listen. Do you hear that sound? It's me walking away in disgust.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my God, Mary.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Come on. It's my way or the highway. This is Roadhouse we're talking about.
Well, that might be a good one to put on the 500 one. Or the countdown.
That would be a good one.
Okay.
Roadhouse. Gonna add that.
For horror, he says any of the 3 original Evil Dead films.
Ooh, we could do Evil Dead 2 because that's got the hand action going on.
Well, aren't we doing Phantom of Paradise? Or Phantom
Are we?
Of the Phantom.
Oh, are we?
Okay.
I mean, yay, we are. Sure. I don't know.
We can do this.
Well, we
have a long time to figure out what we have to do. Oh, we were going to do Donovan's Brain.
Yeah, we're going to do Donovan's Brain, and now we got to do Roadhouse, so, you know.
Okay, and Evil Dead. Okay, for action.
And Evil Dead. Well, Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead. Okay, I don't want to get into it. Carry on. Sorry.
Okay. For action, he says Point Break, the 1991 version. The only version, he says. For zombie, he says Shaun of the Dead, 2004.
That's a good one.
For war, he says Starship Troopers, 1997. Incredibly understood by many critics. It's a very sharp satire. For Mexican Latin, he says whatever one likes, he has great taste in films. Classic sci-fi, The Time Machine with Rod Taylor, or War of the Worlds, 1953.
Don't leave out When Worlds Collide.
Okay. Classic TV. Choose 3 episodes of Night Gallery or Twilight Zone or The Outer Limits. Crime noir. Many good choices, but how about The Trap, 1959, with a great cast including a very young Tina Louise. Another one is Red Rock West, 1993, a Western neo-noir with Nick Cage, Dennis Hopper, and a great end credit song by Dwight Yoakam. Isn't he a country music guy?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Weird Western, Bone Tomahawk, 2015.
Okay, I love Bone Tomahawk. Just saying.
Okay. It has horror elements and about 5 to 10 seconds of fairly intense gore, but it's really a great little film. Lovecraftian, perhaps Call of Cthulhu, 2005. A retro silent film in glorious black and white from the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad little flick. I've seen it. I would go with, if we're going to do something Lovecraftian, I think Dagon might be a better one.
Okay.
Or we could do The Color Out of Space with Nick Cage.
I think I didn't like that.
I think you didn't like it either, but that's okay. It's not about you, Mary. Okay. Come on.
Thank you. I love you too, Nick. He goes on to say, I'm sorry for rattling on for so long. As you can tell, I'm rather passionate about B-movies. I've been enjoying every episode lately. Barry Harding was a great guest for Nightmare Alley episode. Y'all are crushing it. And then he goes on to say, Yay! He sent a second one. He says, hi, Mary, Nick, Juan, and the gang. What an awesome episode. I was very surprised and honored to receive a shout-out from Mark Mostyn. He really brought his A game to the podcast, didn't he?
He always does.
Yeah, I know. It was an amazing freewheeling discussion y'all had. I listened while doing some housework and making some homemade pizzas. Ooh. I totally agree with love for the music of Rocky Horror, especially the opening number. I was introduced to the film in the early 1980s at the historic Plaza Theater in Petaluma, California. I haven't I haven't checked, but the theater is probably visible in the George Lucas classic American Graffiti, 1973. It's now the Mystic Theater and is primarily a music venue. I laughed out loud at Mark's playlists for all-night movie sessions. Aside from Rocky Horror, one title I encountered over and over in the late-night movies was Heavy Metal, 1981. On the subject of double features, my favorite was when a buddy and I had a car culture evening in 1981. We took my lemon yellow 1969 Dodge Dart to an A&W hamburger joint that was still drive-up service. Then we went to a drive-in double feature for the ages, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, followed by The Road Warrior. That's an odd double feature. Okay.
Odd, but it sounds fun.
Well, yeah. We took the seat cushions out of the Dodge and put them on the hood, where we kicked back and used the windshield as a backrest. It was cool to hear Mark mention Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds. That's one of my all-time favorites. It's made many a commute or long drive a better experience. Once again, what an awesome podcast. Thank y'all, and please thank Mark for me. Bye, Mary. It's Marlo from the squirrel-infested Texas borderlands.
Squirrels.
Squirrels. Bye, Marlo. And that's it for the feedback.
All right. Well, that was some good feedback, and thanks everybody for writing in. And
yes,
I'm glad people were able to get the Fiend Without a Face contest. I think the next one may be a little bit more challenging, but maybe not.
Okay.
Oh, don't make it noise,
the saying goes that somebody's going to get it anyway. How challenging! They'll you got your pros out there. Oh, I know. But looking at whatever, they'll know that's that movie. I know it.
I know, but I like to make it easy so the pros aren't the only ones that getting it.
And then you grump at me because it was too easy because we had too many entries. Rage. Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of raging right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everybody send in what you think our 10 countdown shows should be to episode 500. I think it'll start sometime in, January?
January-ish. I think maybe, because as near as I could tell, if we go with the schedule of 2 episodes a month, we should hit 500 right before the Monster Bash.
Oh, cool. Great.
So there you go.
Yay. And we are doing the 500th episode that I want. And that's it. No arguments. I picked the 500th
I have no problem with it, Mary. I'll be honest. I was surprised we hadn't done it sooner.
Yeah, I was too. I had to look it up. So I guess that's it for today.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for having us on, Mary.
Great show. Great movie.
Yeah.
Really good one. We did a double whammy of Peter Lorre, which is, I'm happy, guys. Thank you for accepting my Peter Lorre picks here. Also, we could do more like that. Pick an actor, a celebrated actor, and do maybe 1 or 2 of their movies back to back like that. That would be cool.
Yeah. You have to pick out a Christmas movie. Juan.
Yeah.
Yep. So think about.
I'm working on that right now.
Okay.
It'll be a doozy.
Because that's our next series of movies coming up. Well, after. Who are we having on? Michael Worth.
Yeah, we're having Michael Worth on. We're doing Near Dark. That's our next episode.
Yeah. And then,
that's a good one. Near Dark.
Yep.
Great film.
Then we start the Christmas movie, so.
Okay.
And then the pain starts.
Yeah, for real.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys.
All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good evening.
And we'll do this soon again.
Sounds good to me.
All right. Take care. Oh, no, go ahead.
No.
Just say goodbye. Goodbye, and we'll talk. Bye.
Oh, okay.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Adios, Mafia.
Well, they've gone.
For good, John?
No, just for now. It wasn't the right time for us to meet. But there'll be other nights, other stars for us to watch. I'll be back.
The ghosts are moving tonight, restless, hungry.
All right, fellas, here's your story.
Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
Wait, Captain. I have found evidence of intelligent beings on this planet.
Look to the skies. It's the B-Movie Cookbook. Menus inspired by 15 of your favorite B-movies from the 1950s, with teenage werewolves, blobs, and enough cheese for everyone.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
But until then, we've got Ed Wood and Vincent Price.
There'll be food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
So impress your friends with dinner and a movie with the B-Movie Cookbook. We've got you covered. Get your copy today at bmoviecookbook.com. That's bmoviecookbook.com.
Let me see that book. I am interested to see what sways your mind so heavily.
Sure thing. Just visit bmoviecookbook.com.
Anybody around here want some coffee?
Transmission.
The good guys always win, even in the 80s.